Welcome, crypto fam, to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. We recaptured 61,000, then did a little correction. So a lot of volatility right now. We'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin technical analysis. And quoting Max Kaiser, El Salvador is the new sovereign denominator. Every country's freedom index will be measured against El Salvador on a 1 to 100 scale. The US scores around the 80%, Britain around 70%. Also, as Plan B points out, Bitcoin at 60,000, we're up 4x from the bottom, just like before the pump in 2017, as well as in 2020 and 2021. Also, Jack Mallers projects Bitcoin hitting $100,000 per coin before the end of the year on a brand new interview. We'll also be discussing BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF holdings surpass gray scales for the first time, according to Arkham Intelligence, as well as, Jack Mallers also says the U.S. needs dollar liquidity soon and sees Bitcoin outperforming the S&P 500. We'll also be discussing Michael Saylor playing a little interesting post that could be meaning they're about to make a major Bitcoin purchase incoming. I'll be dissecting this, as well as Bitcoin price can surge 200% to cross 100,000 if this particular thing happens, according to an analyst. We'll also be discussing a potential 1 million Bitcoin price target by 2027, according to an analyst that says Bitcoin could be mirroring the Japanese stock market's early years. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. But anyways, if you're new to the channel, very important to smash the likes, then subscribe and hit the bell icon to turn on all notifications. Today is pod episode number 1736. I'm your host, JV. It's August 20th, 2024. A lot of volatility in the market. Like I said, maybe an hour ago, we were 61,000. Right now, we're at roughly 58,700. Expect more extreme volatility. And welcome. Let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day. You can see Bitcoin barely in the green, maintaining as we're just started correcting right before I went live. We have Ether down 0.5%, maintaining about 2,500 in the red. We have Solana down 1%. We got Tron, a big gainer. I know JC's digging that. Tron's up 8%. AVAX up roughly 6%. And XRP is back above 59 cents. It did tap 60 cents as well yesterday. So there you go. And checking out coinmarketcap.com. Current crypto market cap barely sitting above 2 trillion. It's 2.08 trillion to be more precise. The Bitcoin market cap is $1.16 trillion. We got roughly 68 billion worth of volume past 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance declining along with the ETH dominance. BTC dom 55.8%. Ether dominance all the way down to 14.9%. As I predicted yesterday, we were 15% even, and I said we'll most likely be in the 14s by tomorrow, and here we are. And checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours, we do got Brett, BTT, and Ave leading the pack. Let me know which alts, if any, family you're most bullish on, as you can clearly see some of the alts are stealing the momentum and the limelight right now. And checking out the crypto bubbles first. We can get a daily perspective. Safe to say alts are crushing for the day, at least. Maybe 95% of them pumping in the green. And zooming out on the monthly, it's like the opposite effect, 95% blood red shed, unfortunately. And checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, today we're at 30 in fear, yesterday at 28, last week at 31, and last month 74 in greed. And checking out the time chain calendar. Let's go. We're currently at Bitcoin block 857,631. So we got quite a while until the next halving. Clearly won't be until 2028. But interesting statistic, you can currently buy 1,642 Satoshis per dollar. Yesterday it was in the 1,700 range. So stack the sats while you still can, family. But anyways, let's dive into today's Bitcoin technical analysis. Check out the charts where the price action is likely to take us next. Here we go. Headline here reads, Bitcoin seen following stocks as Bitcoin gains 2.5% to attack 61 G's, baby. And we'll also be pulling up the live charts after I read to you this article. Bitcoin sought weekly highs on August 20th as the push above 61,000 brought hopes of a Bitcoin price comeback. I mean, look at the green candle in the hourly chart. Things were looking pretty Sexy and amazing. Trading views showed local highs of 61.4 on Bitstamp, with Bitcoin up 2.4% on the day. Clearly, now at the time of the recording, I mean, we just had another corrective red candle right back down to 59. So, I mean, more extreme volatility, I think, is on the way personally, as I've been telling you guys. QCP pointed out that the corporate share buybacks have surged 1.15 trillion this year. Goldman Sachs trading unit has seen record client demand for the dips. And Cointelegraph flagged the lack of correlation between crypto and equities, while gold hit fresh all-time highs last week. Quoting them again, risk on sentiment could extend to crypto and gold, pushing Bitcoin higher, given the strong demand for the topside calls. Further cues on U.S. financial policy easing are slated to come courtesy of the Fed at its annual Jackson Hole Symposium at the end of the week. Comparisons circulating on social media show the S&P 500 in particular tends to rally after Jackson Hole events. So, I mean, as outlined right here. Now, turning to Bitcoin itself, an air of caution prevails. The price is still lodged in a downward sloping range, unable to break towards key resistance near $70,000. Quoting Mark Cullen, Bitcoin squeezed through 59.5 level overnight, taking liquidity above the weekend highs and hitting the upper trend line. Can Bitcoin hold 60,000 now and make a run for the liquidity above the early August highs in the low to mid 60,000s? What are your thoughts, family? Let me know. And quoting Rec Capital, history has repeated itself. Bitcoin is now trying to confirm a reclaim of the channel bottom as support. Weekly candle close above the channel bottom would be bullish. Credible Crypto was meanwhile amongst those seeing sideways price action, holding firm for the short term. Quoting Credible, still expect the green zone to hold for now. And if we get that, but this range may take a bit longer to play out at the same time, and he's ultimately pointing out to that $56,000 level. And before I pull up some of the live charts, here's some other things in the news. El Salvador is the new sovereign denominator. According to Max Kaiser, every country's freedom index will be measured against El Salvador on a scale of 1 to 100. The U.S. scores around 80%, Britain around 70%, and pointing out the latest from Plan B, creator of the Bitcoin stock flow model, Bitcoin at 60 Gs, up 4x from the bottom, just like before the pump in 2017 and in 2020 and 2021. He also points out a periodic reminder, you can't keep the ball underwater forever, and that's a great metaphor. Mt. Gox returning 140,000 biddies, German government selling 50,000 biddies, US Gov selling 10,000 biddies, miners forced to sell the biddy after the halving. That's all done now. He makes a good point. And as Jack Mallers points out here, he predicts 100,000 Bitcoin before the end of the year and delivers an exceptional interview. He says Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, confidence of the US dollar, and printing money to buy Bitcoin were three topics of conversation. I'll be sharing some of that stuff a little deeper when we dive into the Jack Mallers story. But nonetheless, fam, let's pull up some of the live charts here. You're looking at the 1 hour chart, and you can see big green candle earlier in the day, big red candle just right before we start going live here this afternoon. So let me switch up the scene so it's cleaner for you. So as you can see, this is live and in the flesh, live chart action. This is the 1 hour chart brought to you via TradingView, via Coinbase. And we do got a lot of targets, a lot happening here. We have an inverted head and shoulders target sitting at 64,284. We do have a target in the orange sitting at 53,004. And we do have a right shoulder formation breakout. And again, you can see the big red candles on the hourly just, again, right before we start to go live. So let's see where we bounce from here. And zooming out, we'll check out the 4 hour. Here's the 4 hour chart. You just see that big red candle, which corrected us back down from 61.4 to where we're currently at, which is at 58.9. And zooming out a little more, we'll check out the 1 day. And on the 1 day chart, you can see it's just back and forth, green, red, green, red, green, red. It's been pretty wild. We do have a target, though, sitting all the way down at 47.7 on the daily chart. And going a little broader, we'll check out the weekly. We still have the sexy cup and handle target sitting at 125 Gs, baby. So send that mofo, and we'll zoom out for the monthly. Here's the monthly chart, live and in the flesh. And as you can see, now we're starting to develop a red candle, but we still got roughly 10 or 11 days left for the month of August, and we can still definitely close for the month of August in the green. Now, historically, September is going to be bullish. I mean, we did have a very bearish June and July. August, is yet to be determined, as we have another week and a half left, and then we'll see how September plays out before we enter the fourth quarter of the year, which is also around the corner, October, November, December. My personal prediction is in the fourth quarter, we surpassed the coveted six-figure milestone. I think that 125,000 target is in play, the cup and handle I pointed out on the weekly, and I think we could achieve it in the fourth quarter of this year. Let me know your thoughts. Got a lot to share, so let's dive into the next story of the day. Discuss the latest with the Bitcoin ETF. Headline reads, BlackRock Bitcoin ETF holdings surpassed Grayscale for the first time, according to Arkham Intelligence. That's right. According to blockchain intelligence firm Arkham, the BlackRock ETF holdings outpaced the rival of the long-term crypto ETF leader, Grayscale, who was once the largest Bitcoin holder in the world. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, better known as iBit, and the iShares Ethereum Trust now collectively represent 14.6 million more in on-chain holdings than the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, Grayscale Ethereum Trust, Bitcoin Mini Trust, and Ethereum Mini Trust, so all their products. Quoting Arkham here, BlackRock ETF holdings overtake Grayscale for the first time. BlackRock ETFs now have the largest collective holdings of any provider. BlackRock ETF holdings, $21.2 billion. Nuts. And Grayscale ETF holdings, 21 billion, so just a little shy of the new BlackRock numbers. Collectively, that's 42 plus billion dollars worth of the biddy. Now, keep in mind, the ETFs in the United States just went live in January, Jan 11th to be exact. So they already collectively accumulated a tremendous amount of the Bitcoin. Arkham says Grayscale's digital large cap fund is not accounted for because the fund is not an ETF, quoting them here, and B, our Grayscale entity, still shows a higher balance than BlackRock. This is mainly due to the Grayscale Fund GDLC, which has around 460 million in assets under management and is not an ETF. BlackRock is already the world's third biggest Bitcoin holder. Bloomberg ETF analyst Balchunas says the asset manager is also on track to hold more Bitcoin than crypto assets anonymous creator Satoshi Nakamoto, which currently holds roughly 1.1 million Bitcoin across thousands of addresses. Now, BlackRock alone is already number 3 and on pace to be number 1 by late next year, and will likely stay there for a very long time. So game theory continues, fam, in full effect. Next story, let's discuss the latest with Mr. Jack Mallers, the Strike CEO. I know he was recently interviewed and he doubled down on his 100,000 price target before the end of the year, and I agree with that. Like I said, I think it'll be in the fourth quarter, somewhere between October and December. Let me know your thoughts, and here's the latest from Mr. Jack Mallers. The chief executive of the Bitcoin wallet and payment app Strike believes that the federal government is about to make a move that will be beneficial for the biddy. In a new Kitco News interview, Jack Mallers says the U.S. cannot afford a strong dollar, and it is also cannot afford a weaker dollar following the stock and crypto wipeout earlier in the month. And on August 5th, stocks and crypto crashed as the world witnessed the unwinding of the yen carry trade. And in Japan, droves of investors borrowed cheap yen to purchase high growth assets like stocks and crypto to generate profits. But when the yen suddenly rallied, those investors had to sell the assets, buy yen, and pay back what they borrowed to protect their profits. According to Mallers, the U.S. is now trapped, and the only way out is to stealthily print more dollars. Quoting him here from the interview, what I think we saw is the dollar weaken against the yen, trouble unwinding of the carry trade. If the dollar strengthens, it's an unwinding of another carry trade. When the dollar strengthens, those that hold dollar debt all of a sudden have a tough time financing that. You sell what you can, not what you want. All these foreign entities own treasuries. You sell the treasuries. The yields go up. The yields go up. U.S. solvency is now questioned. They print money anyway, so they're stuck. Mallers predicts Bitcoin will rally and outperform other asset classes once it sniffs out that fresh dollars are being injected into the system. Quoting him again, what you'll see in assets more broadly, but Bitcoin specifically, is there liquidity? Is there debasement coming to the currency? Are they injecting more dollars into the system? So my expectation is they will, and I think Bitcoin will outperform and Bitcoin will be the leader, but of course the S&P will follow, no doubt. Let me know if you agree or disagree with Jack Mallers. And in the interview, again, as I pointed out right before I covered the story, he also projects Bitcoin at 100,000 before the end of the year, as shared in this snippet. Let me know your thoughts, family, regarding that. 100 G's by the end of the year. And do you think they'll continue to turn the money printer on? I think it's a given as well, because they're forced to do so. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And as long as that money printer go digitally, of course, because I don't even think they're still physically printing money as we're entering a cashless society. But digitally and metaphorically speaking, money printer go, Bitcoin price go to the moon. Next story of the day. Here's the latest from Mikey Saylor. I think he's hinting of a massive purchase. The headline here reads, big Bitcoin buy incoming. Michael Saylor playful Bitcoin tweet. That's right. On Sunday, MicroStrategy executive Mikey Saylor shared, we are going to need a bigger truck with a Bitcoin hashtag. Could he be hinting of a bold crypto move ahead for his company? I mean, look at that. Load up the truck. We need a bigger one. I like that Bitcoin truck. That's actually pretty sexy. If I was a trucker, that's the precise truck I would like to own. Hey. Anyways, he says, gonna need a whole fleet. According to a Solana meme coin project in response to Saylor's weekend posts, meanwhile adding a puppy with laser eyes to their reply. And under the leadership of founder Saylor, an MIT grad, the Virginia-based tech business intelligence and cloud services company has been acquiring the biddy like there is no tomorrow. Saylor's peers in the Bitcoin community online vehemently agree with his company's strategy. In fact, earlier in the month, MicroStrategy announced it would be raising $2 billion to buy more Bitcoin by selling corporate shares. The company announced its Class A share sales in a regulatory filing with the US SEC on August 1st. And in quarter two of this year, from the beginning of April through June, MicroStrategy bought 12,222 BTC for $805 million, bringing its total Bitcoin on hand to 226,500 BTC at a total cost MicroStrategy of just $8.3 billion. That's all. And at the prevailing Bitcoin price as of Sunday, August 18th, that pile is worth $13.5 billion. So let's run the math. That's a $5+ billion gain, or roughly in that ballpark, $5 billion, family. Unrealized, obviously. Now, according to the new SEC filing, also South Korea's pension fund recently bought 34 million MSTR shares, which could be the inspiration behind Saylor's tweet on Sunday. What are your thoughts? MicroStrategy stock may be on sale, but the on-chain Bitcoin could provide investors with more security while being just as easy to acquire as stocks in 2024. The reason MicroStrategy stocks could be on sale, they're now trading at around $130 per share. That makes them 90% cheaper after the 10-to-1 stock split to make the stock more affordable to a wider range of investors. Amazon has done this a handful of times in its history as a publicly traded company. It signals that the company and financial markets see its stocks as a high growth investment with big upside left in the future. So definitely bullish. But retail investors who want to keep it simple are sticking with holding their on-chain Bitcoin in their wallets. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. Obviously, the only non-confiscatable Bitcoin is properly secured, self-custodied BTC. So don't keep your Bitcoin on the exchanges because not your keys, not your cheese. So, or they prefer day trading it in the Bitcoin markets, but just be careful. Day traders typically are losers in the sense most gamblers lose. Markets always win. The house always wins. Exchanges are going to win regardless. They're collecting a percentage of the fees, but most traders will lose. So be very careful out there, family. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And although in August, markets are experiencing caution across the board and in the crypto markets, there's also bearish signals as well for this month, obviously. But we got to get out of August, see where September likely takes us, fam. Now let's discuss a 100,000 bullish target, and then we'll project a 1 million chart that suggests from an analyst, TechDev, suggests Bitcoin hitting 1 million potentially by 2027, which would be pretty lit. And then we'll dive into our live Q&A and all that fun stuff. And if you're just joining us, remember, I'm going to be streaming for the next hour and 15 minutes, so please repost this, spread the word, let people know we're live, and I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, here's this next headline. Bitcoin price can surge 200% to cross the six-figure milestone if this happens. What exactly needs to happen? So on a post on X, we have Jamie Couts, chief crypto analyst at Real Vision, shared his bullish expectation for the BITI for this year. The analyst predicts Bitcoin could experience 200% surge, potentially reaching 100,000 before the end of the year. Right in alignment with Jack Mallers, right in alignment with JV, right in alignment with JC, the one and only Oracle. Couts argues the Bitcoin could see significant gains in the near future based on global financial conditions, specifically the actions of the central banking cartels. The crypto analyst noted that the central banking cartels are capitulating and the liquidity spigots are opening, signaling the Bitcoin price is about to go higher. And capitulating here means the central banking cartels are easing monetary policies, most likely due to the economic pressures, and additionally opening the liquidity spigots, suggesting the central banking cartels are increasing the money supply through various measures. Couts revealed in his post that the global liquidity momentum model, known as the MSI, has provided a bullish regime signal for the first time since November 2023. He recalled that after witnessing this signal last year in 2023, Bitcoin rallied as high as 75% from November 2023 to April 2024 before the regime flipped bearish. As outlined here in the chart, fam. The analyst also revealed that over the past month, the Bank of Japan and the People's Bank of China have injected a substantial capital into the system, amounting to $400 billion and $97 billion, respectively. Globally, the money-based credit has also expanded by $1.2 trillion, facilitated by the weakening United States dollar. The decrease also indicates a possible coordination with the U.S. Fed. Now, drawing comparisons to the previous cycles where Bitcoin rose 19x in 2017, how many of you witnessed that, family? Pretty lit, right? That was my inaugural year into the Bitcoin. My first Bitcoin was like $1,500. It was kind of like maybe mid-year. And then by the end of the year, we climbed to roughly freaking 20 G's. It was pretty wild. So, and also 6x in 2024. Couts projects Bitcoin could witness a 2 to 3x. Now, I think they meant in 2020 with that 6x. There's always typos in articles, family. So I'm going to assume that 6x was in 2020. And they're projecting a 2 to 3x for this year in 2024 if the US dollar index drops below 101. And according to TradingView, the US dollar index is currently 102. So we're not so far away. A decrease below 101 would likely be a result of the continued central bank injections that could potentially increase the global money supply, which is the M2 of 120 trillion. Jesus, imagine that, 120 trillion for the M2 before the end of the cycle. Now, Couts concluded his Bitcoin bull forecast by noting that a credit-based fractional reserve banking system, the money supply must continually flow and expand to support the outstanding debt. If it does not, the entire financial system could collapse like a house of freaking cards. And in a more recent post, we had Mikey Bull, or is it Milky Bull, shared his highly optimistic projections for the BITI, projecting Bitcoin's movement from 2016 to 2025, analyzed in a forecast. The Bitcoin's prepping for a face-melting parabolic that could potentially see the price surge as high as 190 G's. Send that face-melting parabolic candle, will ya? I think I'm ready. What about you guys? What do you got to say, broskies? Now for our featured story of the day. Crypto analyst TechDev is hinting that Bitcoin could hit $1 million by 2027, according to this chart he recently shared. So let's break this baby down. And how many of you are optimistic that we could hit a 7-figure? I understand we didn't hit 6 figures yet. We're getting a little ahead of the horse here. But nonetheless, we know 6 figures is coming. My personal prediction is 6 figures before the end of the year here in Q4. So do you think we could 10x that and hit 1 milli potentially by 2027? Let's talk about it. Bitcoin's chart appears to be mirroring a Japanese stock market index, according to TechDev. That's right. TechDev shared charts with his almost 500,000 followers on X, comparing the BITI to the Nikkei 225, a price-weighted index that tracks 225 blue-chip companies trading on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Now, JV has never been to Japan, but it's on my bucket list. My daughter tells me she wants to go to Japan, so we got to make it happen. Let me know, guys, if you've ever been there. Quoting him here, haven't seen much else like it. log growth cycles have existed well before Bitcoin. Different assets, different decades, same species. Without looking at time or price, most would think the first half of the Nikkei's chart is Bitcoin's. It must have had a halving every 10 years. Bitcoin's latest leg consistently shows more volatility, but the trend doesn't care. Now look how similar that is. This is the Nikkei 225 index on the left and Bitcoin on the right. It's so similar. It's not even funny. Crazy, right? How that could be like that. Now, the chart suggests Bitcoin can crack 1 million in 2027 before correcting sharply. Now, hypothetically, let's just pretend Bitcoin does hit 1 million in 2027 and we get a sharp correction. How much do you think we correct when we hit 7 figures? Do you think we correct to 500,000? Do you think we correct all the way down to 200,000, lose 80% of the value in the market? Or do you think it'll even be much less, like maybe 20%, 30%? I'd love to know your thoughts. I personally think when we hit the cycle peak for this cycle that we're currently in, the current epoch, let's hypothetically say we hit 500,000 per coin as a cycle peak next year in 2025. I think 50% is very realistic as far as a correction, meaning if we did hit 500, we can correct to 250. But let me know your thoughts. I just don't see the 80, 90% corrections like we have witnessed before. But I can be wrong. Not investment advice. Take anything I say with a grain of salt. And, you know what I mean? Do your own research. The analyst also shares a chart comparing Bitcoin to the NASDAQ, another interesting one. Confluence for a longer macro leg than many expect, back to new highs. Also a little similar here. Very similar. Earlier in the month, TechDev noted in a newsletter he was optimistic about the recent downturn of the crypto market, quoting the analyst. Obviously, there is extreme fear in the market. The last 2 weeks were filled with told you comments from doomer bears. Doomer bears. On a retest of 48,000, the levels they previously said would never be reached. Last time, there were doom posting to 25 or at 25 Gs. Exactly what I like to see. The fact that it came at a time when the global macro conditions are pointing up makes it nothing more than 2 weeks of loud noise to me. More like the last 6 months. It is usually the case in all speculative markets, but the last 2 years haven't reflected this more than any other time in the crypto market. It doesn't move up until X is scared absolutely shitless. That was the case at 15,000 after the FTX crash, at 20,000 after the regional banking crisis, and at 38,000 after the brutal post ETF wick. And now, what you'll also recall is how much sentiment can whiplash in a couple of weeks, expecting it again. All the while, the global cycle continues to point higher. And here's some of the actual tweets that he recently made. Haven't seen much else like it. Log, referring to the logarithmic scale, growth cycles have existed well before the biddy. Different assets, different decades, same freaking species. And again, the Nikkei 225 index on the left with the Bitcoin/US dollar index on the right. And another one he shared here, confluence for the longer macro leg than many expect, back at new highs, baby. And on the top, you can see the, let's see here, the Bitcoin/US dollar, and on the bottom is the NASDAQ. So in comparison to the stock market here in the United States. But there you have it, yo. Let me know your thoughts. Can you see a $1 million Bitcoin price? And if you don't see it by 2027, by what year do you think it is most probable? My personal projection, most probable time we hit 7 figures, I'm going to shoot with 2029. That can change. Things can change very fast. But at this current moment in time, I'm pretty confident that 2029 would be the year we hit 7 figures. And I think next year in 2025, we hit the cycle peak. And again, I think it could go anywhere. Bear scenario, 222,000. Bull scenario, 750,000. So let's just say the medium average would be 500,000, which is right where the stock to flow puts Bitcoin post 2024 leading into 2028, the next halving. So let's just hypothetically say we're 500,000 as the cycle peak next year, this cycle, then all we got to do is 2x, right? And I think that would happen most likely the year following the following halving, which would be in 2029. But let me know your thoughts, family, and welcome to the Q&A segment of the live show. Feel free to ask your questions, and I will address them to the best of my abilities. Honey Badger don't care. That's right. Honey Badger don't give a what. The Oracle, each and every cycle peak has corrected less and less. Good point. I agree that it may be around 50% or less. I see it between 30 and 50%. I hope you're right. with my TA. Shout out to the Oracle. Japan is definitely on my bucket list since I'm a car guy. That's what's up. Fish and Twins, you must see that moon so close. Yeah, so my daughter just loves Japanese culture because her favorite video game is Genshin Impact. And, you know, everything is Japanese for kids nowadays. Even myself, though, I mean, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, clearly Japanese as well. I think the creator, correct me if I'm wrong, rest in peace, creator of Dragon Ball, because I know he more recently passed. But I was watching a Dragon Ball movie with my daughter the other day, and the creator was Satoshi. I'm like, no way. Satoshi created the Dragon Ball movie and Bitcoin? Clearly a different Satoshi, but I digress. 2033, 1 million BTC. I'll take it, but I think we'll hit it before. Very doable, though. Very doable. So you're just one cycle behind me on that projection. Anything's possible. I think another major factor, family, is going to be how the dollar is doing. Will the dollar have hyperinflated by then to virtually nothing? Will it require $10,000 to buy a cart of groceries? That's a legitimate question. Let me know.